Aloha and welcome to Action Island. I am Gilles Gallant. I'm joined by Kyle Murray and Nick Giffen, and we're going to wrap up Week 10 in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers for Monday Night Football. Recent matchup too. We've seen these teams play each other twice over the last year, with both playing in Week 1 and in the playoffs. Eagles won both matchups. Now, normally we build a four-leg same-game parlay, but in case you can't see, there's only three of us here today. Derek Carty's actually flown off the island. He'll be back here next Monday with us. So because it's the two of us, or the three of us rather, here's how it's going to work. We're each still going to have two of our favorite bets for tonight, but instead of like the way that we vote, if we can't come to a consensus, whoever gave out the picks will be the tiebreaker. So if I give out a touchdown bet, two touchdown bets, Kyle likes one, Nick likes one, I'll be the tiebreaker and decide which one that leg is, just in case if people are wondering how this goes. So by the end of the show, we're still going to have a three-leg same-game parlay for this Monday Night Football matchup. Quick slip links will be dropped in the YouTube chat as we go. So if you want to tail any of these bets, it'll take you directly to the sports book where you can get that bet and get the best lines and the best odds. All right, so Kyle, you've got two picks you like. They're both on the Packers side. What are we doing?
Yeah, first pick that I'm looking at is in the backfield here with Green Bay, taking the over 67.5 rushing yards for Josh Jacobs. Philly has this rep of being a good defense, and while they have been, right around league average, they've actually been slightly below league average against the run this season. They rank 19th in terms of yards per carry allowed. We've seen a little bit of, mixing and matching in this Packers backfield, but I do think in a game like this, primetime television against the Eagles, Monday Night Football, I think we see Jacobs really turn back into that workhorse running back, and, we see a little bit less of guys like Emmanuel Wilson in the backfield, but Green Bay being favored here slightly. I think it's about a 50-50 matchup at this point, but nonetheless, that'll keep the game script intact for Josh Jacobs to get some work on the ground. Expecting them to lean on the run a little bit more here with some injuries to some pass catching. Tucker Kraft obviously out for the year now, and then less than ideal weather. I don't think the weather is going to be a super important factor in this game, but with the less than ideal weather, a little bit colder temps, I think we could see the ball on the ground a bit more for the Packers. We project him for 78.5 rushing yards in the Roto Grinders model, so give me the over on Jacobs and his rushing yards tonight.
Yeah, he'd been dealing with a calf injury over the last few weeks, so he had seen a little bit more work from Emmanuel Wilson. But I think, like you had mentioned, just given the stakes of this matchup, coming off a loss to the Panthers, they're going to probably feed Jacobs as much as possible to control the clock. So over 67.5 rushing yards, that is the first prop that you like from Josh Jacobs. What's the second one?
Yeah, I figured I would come back after the Jacoby Brissett play last week, 5-1. Come back with a little bit of a fun, juicy long shot play. John Fitzpatrick, anytime touchdown, plus 750 or plus 850, depending on where you shop. Should have an improved role with Tucker Kraft out, firmly behind Luke Musgrave in terms of the pecking order of these tight ends, but do expect him to be involved in the goal line packages and in the red zone opportunities for this Packers team. He's already scored once this year. He has a whopping 5 catches on 5 targets for 24 yards. So it's tough to really look back at previous data for Fitzpatrick, but again, it's going to be a newfound role for him with Tucker Kraft out. And I don't expect the role to be anything expansive, but at 7.5, 8.5 to 1 to find the end zone for a team that has looked at tight ends in that area in the past, I do think there's some value here. So I will take John Fitzpatrick anytime touchdown score tonight.
Yeah, this big 6'7". He's like basically like almost like the Steelers version of Darnell Washington, right?
Yeah.
Like just this huge guy, huge end zone target. So Fitzpatrick around plus 750, plus 850. That is the anytime touchdown bet. And as you said, you did hit Jacoby Brissett last week at 5-1. So Nick, we got to take a vote. Are we going to take Josh Jacobs to get 68 or more rushing yards, or are we going to take John Fitzpatrick, the big tight end two, to score a touchdown? So let's take a vote. All right, Nick. Fitzpatrick's a huge. I went with Jacobs. I'm not even going to try to explain it. What did you take? Okay, you took Jacobs too. All right. John Fitzpatrick, I just wanted to mention, is just we're huge fans of him at the Touchdown Show podcast. We've been talking about him almost every week whenever we talk about the Packers. So again, still, if you want to tail that Fitzpatrick touchdown bet, the quick slip link is in the YouTube chat. So if you want to tail that one, but for the parlay, we're going to take Josh Jacobs over 67.5 receiving yards. So that is going to be the first leg of the parlay. Now, Nick, As usual, we'll get into your picks in a second. But first up, if you want access to all of Action Pro projections, make sure to sign up for an annual subscription to Action Pro. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner and all the members of the Action Network team and their anytime touchdown projections, which have been crushing this season. You'll get access to the best spread, money line, and total bets, along with real ticket and money percentages. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today. Use code Island20 at sign up. One more time, that is Island20 at sign up for $20 off. All right, Nick, you are the creator of the Luck Rankings. Luck Ranking sides did pretty well this week. Is this a Luck Rankings game for tonight?
Yeah, it's a double Luck Rankings game. It's a Luck side and it is a Luck under. Like you said, the Luck sides, they went 4-0 this week. The Luck over went 1-0 to the over. So perfect 5-0 week for the Luck Rankings so far. So double Luck Rankings game. I'm going to go of the two. And while I do lean towards the under here, I'm going to go with Green Bay -1 as the unlucky side here in a Luck Rankings game. This Luck score 1.8, which gives it a C grade. Luck base cover percentage of 57%. But like you said, Luck Ranking sides 4-0 in week 10, 18-9. That's 67% on the season. Favored unlucky teams are 58, 35, and 3. That's almost 62.5% against the spread since the start of 2018, which is as far as our Luck Rankings go back. And that includes 50, 21, and 3. That's more than 70% of the spread for these favored unlucky teams outside of the weeks 5 through 7 dead zone, we'll call it, for the Luck Rankings, where weeks 5 through 7 traditionally has been the 3 difficult weeks where the market has kind of corrected, but overcorrected from the beginning of the year, but not corrected enough for the end of the year. So this, again, C grades 42 and 30. That's 58.3% against the spread. And outside of the dead zone, 35 and 23 against the spread, 60%. I could go on and on and on about this, but let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, why I'm betting against them. Philly has more touchdowns than any other NFL team through explosive plays. 10 of their 27 touchdowns have come from 25 or more yards out. But the Green Bay Packers have prevented explosive plays at the #1 rate in the NFL, and they've only allowed 1 touchdown of 25 or more yards, and that was just 28 yards. That is the second fewest in the NFL coming into this week. #1 was Arizona, but as we all know, versus Seattle, they just gave up a whole bunch of long touchdowns to Seattle. So Philly, they'll have to beat Green Bay if they're not going to do this explosive thing with long, sustainable drives. But the Eagles rank just 19th in offensive success rate. And this is a really bad spot for Jalen Hurts. He's so much better against man coverage, but Green Bay plays zone at a top 10 rate, which gives him a -15% expected efficiency versus his normal efficiency based off the coverages Green Bay tends to use. That's the worst of all starting quarterbacks in week 10. And then Philly, their red zone offense also coming in way above expectation. They have an 85% touchdown rate in the red zone, completely unsustainable. Last year, the Philly team only had a 58% red zone TD percent. 2 years ago, 59%. And this is for an offense that, again, ranks 19th in success rate, 13th in series conversion rate, 9th in offensive DVOA. There's no reason they should be at 85% red zone touchdown rate. So they're not only getting the long, explosive ones, but from close up, they're scoring like every single time too. Just unsustainable. No team has ever finished a season above 78% red zone touchdown rate. This would be like a record by so far for the Eagles that there's just going to be some regression here at some point.
So I have a follow-up question about the spread and the total, because I saw earlier on the Action app that you had logged the under on the Eagles team total. Would that be an alternative to maybe considering looking at a full game under, or just because given that you're not really high on the Eagles offense in this game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this is if Green Bay is going to cover and if the game is going to stay under, the only way for both, or I should say for both bets to hit, if both bets hit, it guarantees the Eagles will be under their team total. So kind of just combining the two Luck Rankings plays and just taking the Eagles under team total 23.5 makes a lot of sense as well. And it fits right in with how I think their offense is going to struggle and has some regression incoming.
All right, smart move. So, all right, so Packers -1 right now. That's the first pick that you like. What's the second pick?
Yeah, this is going to be Devontae Smith over 4.5 receptions. You can ladder this up as far as you want. As far as I'm concerned, I love the over here for Devontae Smith on his receptions. He is the only Eagle pass catcher with a positive coverage grade. So I talked about how Jalen Hurts has -15%. in terms of expected efficiency, well, Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown, John Dotson, Saquon Barkley all have negative 13% or worse expectation based off the coverages Green Bay is going to throw. But Devontae Smith is at plus 8.5%. So some expected positive efficiency for only Devontae Smith here. And AJ Brown, the big reason is his targets per route dropped from 41% versus man to 17% versus zone. And I mentioned Green Bay, a top 10 zone team. So Devontae Smith, he lines up in the slot 50% or more of the time usually. He'll be facing nickelback Javon Bullard of the Green Bay Packers. And Bullard, of the Packers cornerbacks, allows the most receptions per route, a 83.8% catch rate allowed, but he prevents long catches. So he hasn't allowed a reception of more than 19 yards this whole season. So what that means is a lot of short passes that should be completed to Devontae Smith. I wrote up a whole almost like a PhD dissertation on actionnetwork.com about this, things like DVOA matchups over certain parts of the field, etc. But also there's just going to be higher play volume with Green Bay preventing explosive plays. So you're going to have to dink and dunk on Green Bay here. That means more plays, more completed passes to Jalen Hurts' receivers. And I think Devontae Smith is going to be the big beneficiary based off the way the matchup is. And of course, if the luck rankings do play true and the favored team covers, then it would be a trailing game script as well. So Philly would have to be a little bit more pass heavy.
Nick, you do this to me every week. You make me, you know that I'm diehard about the luck rankings. I'm always going to run. Then you give out this second pick that has just as much justification or even better in certain cases of why I like it. So, all right, Kyle, we got a tough choice here. Are we going to take the luck rankings with the Packers -1? Are we going to take over 4.5 Devontae Smith receptions, where there is a thesis now being published at Action Network to read about that? So let's take a vote, Kyle. Are we taking Devontae or are we taking the Packers? All right, Kyle, I'm probably going to get burned on this because whenever I pick against the luck rankings, I get burned. But I'm taking Devontae Smith. What did you do? All right, Devontae. Okay, so I won't feel like an island here because, yeah, you know that probably if he was put in charge of the tiebreaker, he would probably take the luck side as well. So, yeah. All right, so Devontae Smith over 4.5 receptions is going to be the second leg of this three-leg parlay. That's going to be paired with Josh Jacobs over 67.5 rushing yards. So, now, I've got 2 touchdown props for this game, one on each side. Those are published as well on actionnetwork.com. First pick is going to be Luke Musgrave. On the Packers side, he's around plus 370. So no touchdowns yet this year. And I think part of that is because Tucker Kraft emerged. He took the majority of opportunities, but with Kraft out, Musgrave will be the tight end one in this spot. He should see a bigger role in the passing game. And one thing that was really encouraging is after Kraft got hurt last week, Musgrave did play a season high in snaps, saw the highest targets per route run against the Panthers. And I just think a lot of this passing offense with the Packers, I don't think they're going to deviate too much away from what they've been doing because it's really been led through the tight end this year, the way that their passing offense has gone. So I think Musgrave is going to pick up the slack and he'll get his first touchdown of the season. Now, on the Eagles side, there is no way that I can listen to that kind of explanation about Devontae Smith and how he's going to get all this passing volume and then not take his touchdown. If I know that I'm probably feeling pretty good about him getting 5 or more catches, I'm probably going to take Devontae Smith for an anytime touchdown, even though he only has 2 this year. But as Nick brought it up, his target rate, highest on the Eagles when facing zone coverages. The Packers, they play zone at a top 10 rate. They're really good at limiting those explosive passes and plays, which is why I think we should be deviating or pivoting away from A.J. Brown. So, I mean, if Nick is talking about a Devontae Smith ladder, like where we're looking at maybe even 8, 9, 10 catches, clearly I'm gonna show value on his touchdown prop in that spot. So that's the 2 choices, guys, of how we're gonna round out this parlay. We're either gonna take Luke Musgrave, he's around plus 370, or Devontae Smith plus 225. So Nick, Kyle, let's take a vote. All right, which way do we go? We going Musgrave or Devontae? What are we doing? Devontae, you bastards. Okay, all right. That means now I got to choose which one we're going to use. And considering I just kind of picked against the luck rankings in a sense on that last pick, I'm going to go. This is more of a luck rankings motivation. I'm going to take Luke Musgrave then. And then that way we'll round that out with that touchdown around plus 375. So now that is the parlay. So we're going to take over on Josh Jacobs rushing yards. That is Kyle Murray's pick. Devontae Smith over 4.5 receptions. That is from Nick Giffen. And we're going to round that out with Luke Musgrave for an anytime touchdown. Seeing the odds range, 12 to 1 plus 1150. So seeing FanDuel, DraftKings around 12 to 1, Bet365 around plus 1150. So pretty even odds around the spot, around the space here. So all right, so before we get out of here, Kyle, what do you think of this parlay here of Josh Jacobs, Devontae Smith, Luke Musgrave?
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I mean, I know you had some pressure on you with the tiebreaker there on the last pick, but I mean, considering the way the show played out, I would have done the same thing. I actually like Musgrave in this particular parlay more than Devontae Smith touchdown, just a little bit of added juice there as well. And when I was even looking at the Fitzpatrick play, Musgrave was right there. All the things I said about Fitzpatrick, same reason to like Musgrave. So yeah, I like the way this one shook out. So I'm a big fan of this one.
Nick, yourself, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely like it. It's funny, I voted for Musgrave over Devontae, even though I gave out Devontae with all those receptions. And like my only concern, my only little tiny concern is if the Eagles are gonna have to be scoring in the red zone, a lot of that could come through Jalen Hurts himself. Devontae's had, a lot of explosive touchdowns in his career, and Javon Bullard, the cornerback that he's going up against, while he allows a high reception rate per route, again, they're for short receptions, and he's allowed 0 touchdowns this year. So that's why I went Musgrave. So Musgrave get a touchdown. That'll give Green Bay the lead. Josh Jacobs can run all over the Eagles. Then the Eagles have to throw. Devontae can get 8-9 catches without, with a touchdown, even if you're doing the full thing. But Green Bay is going to cover. Green Bay is going to win. And we're going to hit this parlay.
All right, so that's a perfect way to send us off here. So again, one more time before we get out of here, Josh Jacobs over 67.5 rushing yards, Devontae Smith over 4.5 receptions, Luke Musgrave anytime touchdown. That's around 12 to 1 same game parlay. We dropped a quick slip link in the YouTube chat if you want to tail this parlay tonight for Monday Night Football. So that is all for Action Island. We'll be back here on the island. We're going to kick off week 11 with honestly, a pretty gross matchup between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots, but I'm sure we'll be back here to find some value. So on behalf of Nick Giffen and Kyle Murray, I'm Gilles Gallant. Aloha and bon chance.